All right. Hey, everyone. DayTraderRockstar here with you. And a very important video, an update of the Pro Scanner, the QR Pro Scanner, which, again, I'll just give you an update on that, but also going to show you why that's so valuable and just a basic run through of today's markets, which is a great example of the methodology that I teach and how easy it is to apply this if you are able to eventually understand there's just a few steps you need to take. All right, so I always do these videos to kind of go back, take a look at the day, and really show you how simple it is to see the perfect setups for a scalper to take during the day. So this is a scalping video. I trade the futures during the day. We trade a lot of prop accounts here at Day Trading Radio. I host Day Trading Radio. I always forget to give myself a little introduction. I run a show, DayTradingRadio.com. It broadcasts live the markets, and we trade the markets live. I have a big community of traders. Again, you could just look in the link in the video. It'll tell you all about it. And besides doing stocks and options and stuff during the day, we're looking for opportunities, and those opportunities are defined by the methods that I want to show you here, and I show you on thousands of videos that I put out there. All right, so basically what I do is I am a pivot hunter. I trade channels, and I look for the channels when they develop, and I identify when those channels are going to break or change direction. And when a channel changes direction, it goes from one direction to another. It's called a pivot or a corner or pivot. We call it pivots here. So I'm a pivot hunter. I like to call it, make it very simple. I identify the channel. We look for the signals. We have a set of stochastics that are our timing tools. And all we have to do is wait for the channel to set up and the stochastics to set up. And when they both set up, it's go time. So today was a great example. First of all, this is the chart I'm looking at is the 1 minute time frame. Now this applies to any time frame. You can put this on the 5 minute time frame, the 1 minute time frame, the daily time frame. It really depends on your what type of trader you want to be. Do you want to be a scalper or a swing trader, position trader? Hold it for just a few minutes, to hold it throughout the day, or hold it for multiple days, multiple weeks. All the same. These are all just different time frames. And the techniques are the same on each of them, except we just use different chart time frames. But we look for the same pattern setups. And the patterns are based off of channels, which will be seen in the price chart, and the stochastics, which are underneath this. And these are 4 bands of stochastics. They're called the quad rotation system. The 9-3, the 14-3, the 44, and the 60-10. And when they all line up like this, that's our signal that multiple time frames are lined up. And what do we mean by multiple time frames? Well, when we look at an overall chart, we know the market's on the 1 minute time frame. You can see directional trades. You can see it going down here. And eventually, if you have 1, 2, 3 points, if you have 3 points, and if we zoom out all the way over here, just pretend this is what was going on. And you see this happening right here. And you have 1, 2, 3. What I usually do is put a trend line between the first 2 pivots, and then I'll drop a parallel line to the low pivot below it, and usually right at the bottom of the pivot. You know, I throw them in there pretty fast. It could be, just like that. And what we want to do is we're going to continue to watch this channel. And we're going to watch the areas that that we have defined. These lines are going to extend out into the future, and as these extend out into the future, we're going to watch our stochastics down the bottom. And what we like to do is have a recognizable channel, which is a 1, 2, 3. Now, this we're going to always adjust our channels. If we look back, and I always recommend this when you sit down at your computer in the morning, and you're looking back at the overnight trades, just kind of start throwing in some of your channel lines. If you can start to see something here, sometimes you won't be able to see it, but just general understanding of channels. All right, this is an upward channel. This was a downward channel. This is kind of a sideways channel. Every time we chart, we're always putting our channels in. And it doesn't, channels are going to come in all shapes and sizes. But what we're looking for are our width of our channels are based off of our highs and lows. And typically you'll start to see a range bound trade. It might be a little sloppy, but On in general, I mean, on practice, you always want to kind of just keep your channel lines equal distance. You don't want to, even though you could say, all right, here's our, this is actually a nice rising wedge pattern, and it is a channel that a pattern that I do pay attention to. For the sakes of this video and showing you, channels, we're going to be working with channels. So if you see a channel, mark it down. And then as the market continues to open up and go forward, you're trading it, you're going to be paying attention to like 1, 2, 3. You're going to pay attention to 4, maybe 5. Wherever it hits, you're going to be watching. When it hits, that's when we go to work. So we want to, whenever we come down to a channel, a 1, 2, 3 channel, we want to be able to identify either what we call a quad rotation, all 4 stochastics getting under 20, all right? Or a divergence, which is basically the same thing, except you have on the 9-3, you have a little bounce and a higher low while you made the lower low. This could have been almost one right here, but it wasn't. But that's typically what we see. And that's our trade. We're buying into the 9-3 weakness, and we're going to get that rotation, and it's going to move up, and we're going to get that trade to the upside. And you can see exactly what happened here. Now, even though when we do have a nice quad rotation or pivot, we tend to break out of our channels. So when the channel breaks out, then we have a new channel. Now here is a high, and there's a higher high, and here's a high, and there's a lower high, and this is a divergence. It's a very simple one to see. It's not that hard to see. The important thing is to understand you're in a kind of an upward channel. So if you're in the upward channel, and just because we had this downward channel, now we broke the channel, and you can see there's just a, from this low to this low is how high it is. We just understand that channels are not going to be straight up and down. They're going to be about 30 degrees, 40-degree angle. But the divergence is key. The 9-3 divergence is key. When you see that 9-3 the divergence, you put your stop right at the top, and then you move that, and then that's where your stop is, and then you take your trade to the short side. And what I like to do is take profits when we get our 9-3 getting down underneath the 20 level on certain situations. All right, and then in this case, you actually got down here, and it actually was a quad rotation. We just tagged that 20 line down here, right here, right here, and right here. All of them were on the 20, and you can see the nice bounce there. All right, so as we watch this go up and down, we start to identify new channels. But now this is looking back. Easy enough to look back and do this. All right, but that's what I want you to get into the habit of doing, because you'll notice even the smallest channel, the small channels represent the 9-3. The larger channel down here, when you have this 60-10 moving up, that's usually a bigger channel that's moving up. It could be something like this. It just has a general upside. Lots of times you'll be above the 20, up above the 200 period moving average, above the VWAP. This will be pointed up. You have this uptrending market where the 9-3 will be inside. It'll be back and forth, real full flat. And that's where we're going to see these pivots show up. Now, when you see a divergence show up on a 60-10 down here, that's a very big channel to reversal, and usually is a major area where we want to trade. Now, even though we're looking at the 1 minute time frame, and I could go back here and I could say, all right, here we had a little divergence here. You had a high and a higher high, and you see that divergence. If you took that, put that stop right above that and took that trade, you would get some downside until it got oversold. And then you would probably want to take your profits from here to here. And then you could actually see the market bounce back up, and then we start to build out again. Now I put a little, maybe I see this 1, 2, 3, and what I would do here probably is just I'd probably grab this trend line here and a parallel trend line, and just drop that down. Oops, sorry. Drop that down there and just kind of keep it down there just in case we come down there. Doesn't mean that I always put my channel lines in if I have pivots, just in case the price gets down there and then we had a quad rotation. That's our signal. There could be news, like here there was some news that came at 11:45. I think there was some kind of delegation, Iranian talk, and the market popped. That's what we have to worry about in the markets these days. But when the market gets back into a rhythm, we start identifying our channels again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, very easy to kind of see that something's starting here, right? With 1, 2, 3. Even if you start to go like this and say, all right, I think I see a channel here. Yeah, that could be a channel. No problem. That's fine. That's a small channel. this is a smaller channel. This is a smaller channel inside the bigger channel. There's channels within channels. Whatever. I could go to the tick chart. We could even have smaller channels. Everything channels out. It's like a natural. It happens in nature. Just the rhythm of the markets, the rhythm of how algorithms are picking up recent highs, trends, calculated trend lines expand into the distance. All right. So, but understanding that each, so these different time frames, the 9-3 really represents these tighter channels, where the bigger time frames as they go up are the bigger channels that would be playing out here. So this downward channel here represents this 60-10, starts up here and comes eventually all the way down here, where it's all quadded up and a divergence, a low and a lower low. So this would extend out here, just like this. You had that 1, 2, 3. Now you might say, well, we got through this. What do we do about it? This is not an exact science. The markets has exploratory areas that it goes through. There might be orders up here it grabs, or might be orders or a candle that comes down and takes it. But in general rule, I always put my trend lines on the closing candle prices. If it busts through it a little and comes back into it, I always take the trade when it retests the channel line. It's going to hold. So we come back down here, and again, this is the only thing in downward trend lines. The only thing I'm really worried about is when we get down here, we have a low and a lower low, and I have a low and a higher low, and we're quadded up on that higher low. That is the best setup. That is our holy grail. That is our holy grail trade right there. And that's a 44 divergence too. It's a 14-4. It's a multiple time frame divergence on multiple time frames. It's a perfect channel. It's the perfect trade right there. All right, and again, that was around 1:30. And then we popped up here, and then we actually had a beautiful short. And then the market came down. And it was an easy short to see. You had a high and that higher high and a lower high. And we measured that out. And then the market started moving back down. And then you had another double bottom here and a higher rotation there with a quad rotation. It was perfect. With these little channels, you had little divergences. You had pops in and out all day long. So the question is, and you can see it so easily here, why are you applying this? All right, either you don't have the time to be in front of the computer to do this all the time. You're not serious enough. All right. If you want to be successful at this, this is one of the best methods of trading. All right. I am not kidding you. If you say it doesn't work, I'm getting chopped up. Your stops are too tight. Remember, the key is the quad. Once you get down to the quad, all four stochastics, you have a much better setup. If you had this as a quad divergence, this has a 90% chance of success. But if you just take a quad, maybe that drops down to a 70% success. So it's about, what you're taking. If you could wait for the quad divergence like right here, these are the best setups. Best setups. Now there's other setups because not everyone can sit around the markets and just say, well, I can't just wait until 1:30 and take a trade and then expect me to wait until 2:30 to take one more trade. Maybe you have that short here, but maybe your trade, a lot of people are in and out. They're in it, like trying to get in, and it drops and they get shaken out. And by the end of the day, they're $200 in commissions. Believe me, you're going to love this. You have to get into, you have to get the discipline. You have to get the patience down. You have to have the mechanics to wait, to execute, and to take your profits. Slow, slow, slow. Not heavy stuff, because when you do heavy, you're going to get emotionally scared out of your position, or you're going to get blown up. This, you could take a bad, say you're in here, and it's like, all right, we might have a good set, and all of a sudden news comes out and shoots out, and you get blown up. If you have like a few ES contracts on, you're blowing up your account or your prop account or whatever, and it's just not. You want to take these with the minis. You want to take them small, because the process will work out over time. You will qualify, no problem. It's just that people want to qualify real fast, so they gamble with these things. You gamble. But once you start seeing patterns, all right, when you start seeing patterns and channels lining up, and then you're able to just wait for the setup, it becomes a game changer. It is absolutely a game changer on everything, because it happens every single day. This was just a great day for it. Happened a lot. Now, so remember, first of all, identify your channels, smaller channels, bigger channels. Watch your quad rotations. The most important thing is the first divergence, the first stage of a divergence, you'll have that candle. So someone asked me the other day, could you show me an example when we have that special divergence where you talk about the body of consider a divergence 2 stages. Stage 1 is the first low, and stage 2 is either the second low on the price, but a higher low on the stochastics, or a double bottom. This could actually be up, and this could be kind of a double bottom. As long as it comes down and touches the candle low of the first one. Now, if there's a candle, a tail that shoots down, and we close back up, and then we come back, and the tail comes back, but doesn't take out the tail here, but the tail here takes out the low here. We don't count the tails on a first divergence, especially if you have a turn up like this. Inside the downward channel, this is a very interesting divergence, because I've noticed that this is kind of sound a little strange sometimes, but over time, the market almost adjusts. If you find something that's working really well, the market won't let that work for too long before it adjusts and messes everything up. And the regular divergences, even though they're mathematically sound and they're great, I start to see lots of times on the stage 1 an exploratory candle that shoots down with a candlestick and then pushes back up. So we don't have that pure divergence where you have a lower low. And a lot of people don't consider this the divergence. But this tail is not counted. So only count the low of the first stage. And then you could count anything on the second stage, the low of the candle or just the body, as long as any part of it comes down to the low of the body. And then you have the high rotation. That is a perfect divergence. It's a great divergence to take, especially if you're inside the channel and on the lower part of the channel. Remember, when you identify the channel, you're identifying the environment that you're finding our profit, our game, or whatever we're hunting here. It's going to be in channels. So the first thing is to identify that channel, and then look in that channel. And when you see that thing set up in a channel, that is a pivot. And when the pivot shuts up in the channel, a divergence pivot, that channel will break out. So all you have to do is make sure you're in the trade inside the channel, because your exit will be outside the channel. So a new directional trade will start. So that's very important, that all your timing. Everything about this method is just defined for you. It's defined. The only thing I had a problem with is making sure I was there. And also saying, well, on the 1 minute time frame, there could be times when there's no quad rotation. Quad rotation is when all 4 stochastics are oversold, like here. And it might not be a divergence, but there's still a great level to be in. Now, some of these are just great to vary. Look at this little candle back here, stage 2, lower 1, higher rotation on the 9th, very high on the 14th, 344 is sick. That was just a good shakeout right there. That was a low there, and from that point on, it exploded. But, this is all behind us. Always looking, to what the next setup is. But even if we have a next setup, like here, I'd be tracking this very easy. Once you get down to like 1, 2, 3, you start throwing in your channel lines. You don't have to worry about it being too close, because you want to be able to identify the quad rotation inside the channel. So the quad rotation or the divergence, well, those are the 2 ones we're getting. The quad rotation is all 4 stochastics, meaning that the 5 minute time frame, which is representative of the 60-10, is set up so it's going to give us a bigger move up, plus the 9-3. It's very important. I stress this so much. The easiest thing you could do as a scalper and trade in futures this way is make sure you take your longs with the 9-3 coming off that 20 and heading up. This momentum right here is going to give you some candles. It's going to give you some time. Remember, the 9-3 gives you about 5 to 7 candles on the ES. 5 to 7 candles. If you know that you're in a channel and you're looking for a quad and you buy into that quad, there's a good shot, and you start to catch this turning back up, there's a good shot that you're going to get a few candles until you get overbought right up here, and it's going to break us out. So you're going to get that trade. You might not get everything, but you're going to get some of the meat off the bone, and you know your targets. When you have a nice channel and you have a nice quad rotation in the channel, the odds are your targets will be outside that channel. So the question for me was, how do we not miss these, all right? Because not everyone could wait at 4:30 or something like that. So I said, and the more and more people that I coach, and one of the things I always try to find out about a person is what's your trading, what's your trading situation? Are you a full-time trader? Are you a part-time trader? How much time do you have to dedicate to the markets? It's very important, all right? There's opportunities in the market, but unless you're there to take the money off the table, the easy money off the table, this is an easy trade right here, easy. Unless you're there for that, you're going to miss it. So it's up to you, just like it's up to any professional sports player, to get up early or do what has to be done to be the best at what you do. All right? Whatever it is, you don't want to miss it. I get up sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning if there's going to be a divergence. I said, I want to know when these divergences are. How am I going to find more of these? How am I going to find more of these? Well, I noticed they worked great on the 1 minute time frame. But to give myself more opportunities, I'll start looking at the 3 minute time frame and the 5 minute time frame. And for me, it's hard to put up all those charts. Even though those setups work great. Let's see if I could, they absolutely work great. These are my trades today. I think we're up about $100, just 1 or 2 contracts. But you notice all my trades are on the lows. They're all on the 9-3 rotation. 9-3 rotation buy, sell. 9-3 rotation turning up, sell. 9-3 rotation turning up, sell. 9-3 rotation turning up with a divergence, sell. And I see the divergence, running divergence, add. Sell then. Boom. 9-3. All the trades were successful because the easiest thing was, first of all, there was a lot of divergences today, but the other thing is just having that 9-3 on your side. Just remember that. That's half the battle. And now that's on the 1 minute time frame. Now if we go to the 3 minute time frame, you might see the same setups. Now I'm not going to look, these are all based off the 1 minute time frame, but if you're still going to get similar patterns on the 3 minute. You're going to get similar divergences on the 3 minute. Here's a low and a higher low, and that's a divergence right here. And that's your low. Your stop goes here. You're on the lower part of the channel. That means your channel is going to break out. And sure enough, look where it went. There's a beautiful divergence back here. All right, so that's on the 3 minute time frame. We break down. So now you have a setup here at 10 o'clock you might not have had on the 1 minute time frame, but now it comes in real clear on the 3 minute time frame. And then the same thing on the 5 minute time frame. If you ever get a divergence or a quad rotation on the 5 minute, that's a big. You're not going to get many, but when you do get them, it was the same thing. It was such a good setup today around 10 o'clock. It was just about a divergence there. But if you do get it, and you do get them, they're usually some of the biggest moves. A 5 minute divergence. It's just a huge move. There's one right here. But how do we know? Do you have enough screens out there to watch them all? I always recommend putting on the 1 minute time frame, the 3 minute time frame, and the 5 minute time frame on your screens, and then take any trade that's a combination of a 1 minute, 3 minute, or 1 minute, 5 minute divergences. That's dual divergences. Those things are unstoppable. They never fail, but they come around, and they might come around 5 times a week, maybe once a day, maybe once every other day. But they do come around, and they're easy to spot. But again, not everyone's going to be in front of it. No one has a job like me where I'm broadcasting the markets and standing in front of this and seeing this. That's where my job comes in, to get these alerts to you. That's why I do the Voxer alerts. So my Voxer alerts, which is one of the greatest things ever, is a walkie-talkie system I do that sends out the alerts on your phone. So it comes across your phone. It's an app. It talks to you. And I'll say, S&P's entering a quad rotation zone. Prepare yourself for an upside move. So I'll send something out like that, and then you're able to get in front of it, and boom, bang, you don't miss your trades. You might not be in front of it. Maybe you're doing something else. Maybe you're with the family, the kids, watching TV, but you want to know when these things are setting up. So I've worked a lot, and I said, that's a lot of work even for me. So I started programming all this stuff in, and this brought me to the development of what I call the QR Pro Scanner. And the QR Pro Scanner does everything that I want to find in the markets. All right? It does everything I want. It identifies divergences. First of all, it identifies quad rotations. Quad rotations where all 4 stochastics are overbought or oversold. That means we're armed. And that'll tell me on the 1 minute, 3 minute, or 5 minute, it'll monitor all that. So I could have multiple quad rotations happen up, these little windows will light up. There's an audio alert on here. The guy will come on, and he'll say quad rotation ES 1 minute time frame. All right. Or if it was a divergence, it will say quad rotation divergence 3 minute time frame, or a 5 minute time frame, or 1 minute and 3 minute dual divergence, it will say. So now it's all automatic. You don't have to watch anything. You have this running on one of your monitors. You can minimize it, and it'll talk to you. And it'll say, NQ, 1 minute. I'll actually show it to you. Well, so one of the great setups here is what's called a perfect bull and a perfect bear. Let me see if you can hear this. I don't know if you can hear this or not. Let me see. You might not be able to, because let me see.
Attention. ES, 3 minute, perfect setup. Divergence buy with reversal candle at the divergence low. Stop at 5,430.75. This is a high conviction trade.
So when this is a special thing, this is a perfect bull. It does a lot more than I could even go over in this thing. But these are all the different alerts you're going to get. You could turn them on in the alert history. You could, if you don't want a quad rotation, like a quad rotation is all for stochastics, overbought or oversold. Here it is. Here's an example of the overbought.
NQ, 3 minute, quad rotation system armed for sell.
So a quad rotation arm for sell means we're in a quad rotation. We're armed. Now we want to see a divergence. That will trigger the buy. So, but a lot of people trade just on the quads, and they want to know when the quads are and get in front of it. But these are all. This will talk to you all day and tell you every single time frame and everything. And there's many things here. You don't have to cut. You can control all the sounds on this. All right, all the sounds you can control on this. Now let's close that up, and I want to show you something new on this. So that's what this first top thing is, your arm short. We left off with the arm short. Well, Bitcoin's trading, so actually. But you can see we had a 3 minute arm short, and we had a 1 minute 44 bear divergence. And I have other things that, I have some really good setups, the 44 divergence, the 22 range divergence. I programmed in this too to give us special alerts. Also, for our scalpers, and a lot of people using this every morning, I put in here a gap scanner. So in the morning, you're going to see the stocks that are gapped up. Our pre-market poppers, very important. These are stocks that are popping in the morning, and they have a lot of volume and fit the criteria. The criteria under $10, up to over 35%, volume over 500,000 shares. So it kind of gives us the stocks that are moving pre-market, gives you, because that's one of the things we really profit on it. April 24th, President Trump speaking. I don't know, he already spoke anyway. But this will be the economic schedule for each day. So on Monday, Sunday, you're going to get all the economic news for the following Monday. And this will talk to you also. It'll say, all right, 2 minutes until Trump speaks, or 2 minutes to the jobs report, whatever economics on the schedule. And then I have calculated in our Fibonacci's and recent high, low, and support levels. Fear Greed Index, I thought it was just a nice little touch there. Down here we have live charts, and the live charts will actually, you could open these up, and you have to adjust these right now because I had them closed and the market's closed now. But when you start this, you're gonna just open this up. When it starts to open up, you'll see this thing open up fine. I just was updating it before, so I don't have it. But the market's closed right now. It's not going to give you that great. But if you, when you look at this during the day, what will happen is we have what we call perfect setups. They'll appear in the chart. So they'll actually appear you. This is the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ and the ES. Right underneath that, we have the stock of the week, which is the new ones going out this weekend, and trade notes that go out each day. Each day, I get you ready with a set of trade notes, all the news that hit pre-market, all the news from the night before, key levels to watch, anything that's important on oil, all the earnings reports. It's a nice little just to get you up to date for the market day. And then we have our matrix down here. And this matrix is basically all the time frames, all the symbols, and tracking all the stochastics. This probably will evolve into something even better on this, but originally I put that in and I kept it. And this is what I call my heat map, and it kind of tells us how each of these indexes are trading based off of our stochastic levels. You can see YM ended up being overbought. And again, kind of a cool feature. I put this together. What I did is I took all the stochastic bands, I added them together, divided them, got an average, and then put that average here on the multiple time. So the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. All four of these. There's a 9-3, 14-3, 44, and 60-10. So each one has an average that pushes on this, and each average gets pushed down here. There's a lot of information left to go over here. 22 range is a good divergence, another one. But there's something new. I've already put out a lot of videos on this thing. This is the most important section up here. This band up here. This is the key thing. All this other stuff is just new stuff that we're developing. Up here, the vortex flow. That is in the pro manual. I'm not going to go on that. I want to spend a little time on the Hyper Scalper here today. This is something I just finished. And I placed it on it today. And it's a scalper too. Remember we just looked at the charts before, and I said, what's the most important thing is to make sure your trade is being entered at the right time for scalpers. So this is measuring all that stuff. What this means is it's going to measure. Let's see if I go back to our charts here. If I could get those charts back. There we go. Here's the ES. All right. When we take a long, I'm asking you that your 9-3 is starting to come up. When you're taking a short, I want your 9-3 overbought and starting to come down. So that's one thing that's programmed in there. The other thing is we have a tremendous strength when we see where the market is priced compared to the 200 period moving average, but also in relationship to the 60-minute time frame. Now, even though this is a good indication of when you should be getting in, you know, it's really going to tell you, is the trade on? Is it a good trade or a bad trade? If you take a long or short, it'll tell you exactly when to take that long and short by that meter. I'm going to go back to the meter. But it's working off of the 60-10, the 9-3, the 200 period moving average, but mostly the 9-3 that's a major part of it, is understanding that you don't want to take a trade on the long side if you're overbought here. So this is going to kind of tell us, like, all right, John, you might not be paying attention to this, but you're overbought, you know, and it will say no trade or no setup. So only when you start to get down into a trade setup, it will trigger and said, all right, you're in a zone here which you should probably look for. You're safe for taking a buy, basically. And this is kind of cool now. So if it does trigger, all right, it does trigger, it will automatically place the number of where the trade is being taken. So if the ES took a trade and it was like 7,189 and it just took the trade, it will say trades taken 7,189. And what it's going to do, it's going to track that trade. Because the 9-3 is oversold, it's going to start to, oh, you know what? This might be hard to read here. So someone asked me right away, says, you know, there's so many great things on the scanner, but I like this. Someone said, I like the scalper a lot, but I can't really see it. It's hard to see. Is there a way for you to pop it out? And I said, yeah, I could do that. So now, right up by the live button here, there's a little grayed out box over on the right-hand side. It might be hard to see. I can make that little. It's a pop-up. So what happens is I'll pop it up there. Excuse me. And you can move it anywhere you want, except off the tab that you're on. But you could also adjust the size of it too. So if you go in the bottom right-hand corner, if I could, you see here, you see there's a little tab down there, and you kind of make it as big as you want, so, and it'll adjust there. And you might want to put it down here, or just kind of, I hope didn't lose it by pushing it up there. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to. If you go too high, how do we fix that? If it goes too high and be able to drag it down. Let me see. All right. Well, if you push it up too far, because you can only grab it from here, I'm gonna have to fix that. You're gonna have to restart your scanner because I couldn't be able to grab it back down. So make sure you don't push it out of the range of that. So you don't let it go up there because you're gonna have to grab it up here to move it. It doesn't grab. There's a little like a top here. But if you hit the X, it'll replant itself over here. So this is where originally will be. And then if you X it out, it'll pop up. And then you can adjust the size and put it wherever you want. See how I adjusted the size there? I might want to put it here or something or whatever. Maybe I can make it so it pops out. We could put it on a different window altogether. All right, so when it does take that trade, though, it'll have a trade tracker down here. It'll tell you what it takes to trade at. And for every candle that makes a higher high, it'll draw a bar down. It'll have a green bar or a red bar, depending on long or short. And what will happen is once we get internally above that 9.3 stochastic, where you normally should take it off, it will say trade exit. It will say ring the cash bell. So it's it kind of measures, if it does take a trade, it'll measure how that trade does and kind of follow it up for you and tell you when to take profits. All right, that's it's really cool. I like it. It's called the Hyper Scalper. And it also here, again, you see the ES. You can put it on the NQ, or you can put it on the YM. Now, I could add the Bitcoin and gold and the oil and stuff to it. If you want me to do that, then give me some feedback. Or you think there's any suggestions or any improvements you want, let me know. But this right now is a good, like I said in the latest release notes on this. This one I consider in beta, as we just launched it just 2 days ago. And today, Friday, was the first time I really tested it, and it worked great. So I want to redock that. It goes back down here. Any type of big buy trigger gets planted here, and these will keep on adding on top, and these will push down, add, push down, add, push down, and then all the way on the bottom you'll see my trades. That has to be that's going to be connected. I don't have that connected right now. It's going to be connected to our portfolio and stuff like that. I just have it unconnected right now because I was working on other stuff. There's a great manual here. You can see the history of all the alerts are all right here. There's a lot of great stuff on here. Go back here to the, let's go back to the scanner here. Oh, I lost the scanner now. Here we go. There we go. And, okay, audio, went over the audio. Someone requested this to be a little darker, so I made a dark mode for this. So it's a little bit darker. You can put the light mode back on. If you like that color scheme, you can keep that. That's pretty cool. Or you can put the light scheme on. So there, that. The audio, you could when it starts up, the audio is automatically going to be off. So you want to make sure the audio is on. People want to control the volume. Well, here you have it. You could control the volume. You could turn the audio off. You can make it lower, higher. Again, if you go to the audio section, you'll see here the Hyper Scalper. Excuse me. I don't have a test on here, do I? Let me see. No, I didn't put a test button on there, which you can't hear that. Sorry about that. I will fix that. But it's pretty cool what you hear on that. But only the perfect bull and the perfect bear. Perfect bull and the perfect bear. Here's perfect bear over here. Will give you stops and stuff. And also because this adds in a reversal candle. So what the scanner is also doing is also checking for reversal candles. Those are really important in some situations, especially when they top off or cap off a divergence. When they cap off a divergence, it's go time. And a big banner will pop up on the top here. Now, there's a lot of other things on here. Like I said, the trade notes, stock of the week, updated all the time. there's a walkie-talkie on here that I could talk through this, and I do that on occasion if there's any special announcements or anything. The manual is very important. The news schedule will be up here. Like I said, the Trump's scheduled to speak at 12 p.m. I don't know if that's for tomorrow or for Monday, or was it for today? It's there right now. All the key levels for all the different indexes. And again, this is the golden ticket up here, though. The multiple time frames, multiple divergences, everything here identified, all audio that'll talk to you. And the Hyper Scalper, great little tool now, new tool. Go to the Pro Manual, click on that, it'll open up. All right. And if you scroll down, scroll all the way down, there's so much on this. It tells you all about the long and short signals, what to do with them, what things you could see. The coil is actually not there yet. I just disconnected the coil because I'm working on the formula, but that's in there also. Instrument cards, key levels, live charts, hyperscaler gauge. All right, the hyper scaler, that should be Hyper Scalper. I gotta fix that. Oh. Sorry about that. Hyperscaler. Working too late at night sometimes. I will fix that. But here it is. This is the Hyper Scalper. It'll tell you what type of setups you're going to get. Gauge Neil, you have a long setup. Long setup presented, but with a reduced conviction factor. It'll have a little a warning symbol there. And then you have the long setup with the check mark. You have the short setup, long watching short. Conditions are developing, and it'll be all color coded. So as you get closer to when you want to get in, it'll also color code. Now this is important. The embed count, how many consecutive candles, the long-term momentum indicator has been extreme zone. So this is 3 or more. Really, we're counting on an embedded stochastic, really with the 60 period. I did some calculations of momentum and added that weight to the signals. Hyperscaler. I got to fix that. Hyperscaler. All right. And you can read up more on that. Cash register sound means the trade has reached its momentum target. You don't have to exit immediately, but this is the moment to protect your gains. Do not let a winning trades turn into losing by holding past this signal. It resets each time a new signal is a thing. So anyway, there's a lot of other things on here. I just want to show you the new feature. The new feature is absolutely fantastic. And again, it's a pop out. And I can make these other ones pop outs too. I might, again, what I'm looking for right now is feedback. This is in its beginning stages where it started off. It's so perfect as it is that I just want to continue. It's a big passion of mine. I think I'm getting such great feedback on the traders that it's making money for, because it enables them to be in front of the computer at the right time. Saves them time, saves everything. I mean, this is amazing. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. The scanner comes with the Day Trading Radio membership. All right, all members of Day Trading Radio, if you have a paying membership, you get the scanner as long as you're scanned. If you're not a member of Day Trading Radio, it is a tremendous deal right now. Now, I've been doing this since 1996. I've been trading live on the air since 2007. This thing is going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to get better and better. I offered it out for people who do not have a day trading membership. Lifetime to own this thing is only $149. All right, $149. If you go to, let me show where you go here. You go to QR scanner. QR scan. I'll put the link in the thing. All right, it's only $149, or you could get it in the bot package. It's $50 a month. It does come in the bot package on Patreon. All right, if you go to patreon.com // Day Trading Radio, patreon.com / Day Trading Radio, you could get it there, or you could get it here on this page, or you could get it with a membership at Day Trading Radio. Different ways of actually activate it. This page is great on it. It tells you all what it does. And just a lot of information. I got to update it with the new panels too, so I have to update this. Just remember, there's a lot more to this because the announcement though, $149.95. I was going to raise it to $199.95, but I feel there's so much value on this. The price is going up to $249.95. That's what we're going to be. I'm going to be kind of. It's a lifetime thing. It's a great tool. So it's going to be $249.95. You get $100 off now. I'll probably change that price probably in a week or two. So I'll leave it at this price for anybody who wants to grab it. I still think $249 is super cheap on that, so I'm not going to feel bad actually raising it. If I do a sale, I'll bring it down to $199 in the future. So take advantage of the $149 here. You could get it, or you want to try it out for the month, go to Patreon and do the $50. But as you can see, $50, 3 months and you own it. It's what a steal this is. So this is going to be $249, not $199. I decided it's too valuable. It works too good. And that's it on that. So I hope you enjoy that. Again, head over to Day Trading Radio. You don't have to worry about anything. You just become a member there. Become a lifetime member, and you get everything for life. Check it out. All right, so if you need anything from me or want to reach out, best way to do is hit me up at IronAction@yahoo.com. That's IRONACTION @yahoo.com. Give me a few days to answer your emails. I get tons of emails. Or get into our chat room at Day Trading Radio. That is really the best place to get in touch because I'm there every day from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock and even at night. We have a new stock of the week coming out this week. I have a watch list coming out this week. So keep an eye out for that this weekend. And everyone have a great weekend. I'll see you guys Monday. The Hyper Scalper is out and is kicking butt.